Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are on another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. And Pete the Rookie is traveling. He's in a hotel room with kind of yucky internet, so bear with us.
Bill, I think I heard you all the way down here in Florida without the mic.
The wire? Didn't need the wire?
Oh, I heard you. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, all right. Here we go. Yeah.
All right, today we are on episode number 346. The name of today's podcast is 15 Common and Logical Reasons Creative Real Estate Rookies Fail Miserably.
15?
15.
Geez, you want me to set my timer for 4 minutes and let you know? We'll be at an hour and 1 minute. We'll be on like 7.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Get that yawn out of the way. So here we go. This is the description of today's podcast. Flipping houses has been a fad now for a few years, and many gurus are on TV, online, in seminars, writing books, all about how to flip a house. But if you notice, these same gurus are starting to change their tune. The newest fad is creative real estate. So the first question is, what's the difference? Then once we cover that, we'll need to cover the 15 common and logical reasons creative real estate rookies fail miserably. And our promise to you today is to remove some of the myths you may have about how you will make money with real estate the fastest way possible, so you can prove to yourself and those around you that real estate can be a very viable way to get chunks of cash, passive income, and to stuff your retirement accounts quicker than anything else on planet Earth. It is very possible this one episode could remove that ball and chain that is holding your success pinned down and stealing your freedom.
Hey, no talking about my wife.
Ball and chain.
What?
and steal your life away. The way it's done. Oh my God, you got me all messed up.
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. I knew I was going to do that, but I'm sorry. I just couldn't resist. What do you think people are thinking about when you said that?
Ball and chain with your wife. Okay.
I was in Home Depot and I ran into one of my friends who switched from music into real estate. He thought he would work at Home Depot to learn more about the business. Did you buy any houses? Oh, no, my wife won't let me do that. Just like that. Over. So that was like, I don't know if that's one of your 1 to 15 things not to do, but this will be my Coca-Cola version of step 0. Step 0. Do not tell your wife that you're doing real estate. Guitar students buy guitars and don't tell a wife. They sneak it in an old case. Don't tell your wife or your husband. I'm sorry, I'm done.
You should get help for that, Peter.
That's why I'm here in Florida, Bill. I'll let you know how it goes.
All right, cool. So let's get some of our house.
It's raining. Don't feel too good for me. It's raining.
Yeah, it's been raining and snowing here for 3 days. So let's get some of our housekeeping done. So first of all, we record this podcast on Thursday mornings, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we live stream it on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you wanted to be part of the podcast, you can go on one of those platforms at 9:30, and you could type us wherever they allow you to type in the comments or the sections where you can put comments or make communicate. We'll come right back to our dashboard, and we will be able to see you and help you. Please only ask questions pertaining to the podcast. If you have other questions, you can go to our WhatsApp messenger called Let's Talk Real Estate. That's a group message with hundreds of people in there, or over 100, I should say. people in there that will help you with real estate, all kinds of other like-minded individuals. If you need individual help and don't want to speak in the group chat, you can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and then hit the support button on the top right-hand side. I answer those support tickets. I used to do them daily, but it's been several times a week now. I've been kind of busy with our new software company. So also, if you would so choose to, make sure you, I just lost my train of thought. Make sure you, oh my goodness.
Like us, subscribe.
Subscribe.
Leave a
There
comment.
you go. Oh my God,
Right.
I had a senior moment there. Make sure you subscribe to our channel wherever you're listening to us. Make sure you like us or dislike us, whatever you want to do, and leave us a comment. I'm not complaining, but this podcast takes us 5 or 6 hours a week to publish to write and record and publish and get it to you. So we would like exchange back, which is you leaving us some sort of review, good, bad, or indifferent. Okay. As they say in the Clint Eastwood movie, Peter, good, bad, or ugly.
That's right. Pick one.
All right. Let's start off with revealing what the TV stars don't tell you.
Mm.
There are 2 distinct ways to flip houses, and this is a confusion. So 1, you have ugly houses where you buy low, fix it, and sell high with 1 profit, and a hard profit, not an easy profit to get. There's a lot of landmines that go over and go through and sneak around to get that profit. There's things like, buying the house with cash and somebody funding it and paying all the fees to get it funded, points and hard money interest and all that ugly stuff. Because you're buying an ugly house, you might as well have ugly money, right? So when you get through that, then you get the ability to own the house, and now you have the holding costs because you have to pay the payments for the loan. You have to pay the taxes each month. You don't pay them each month, but you're going to owe them sooner or later. You're going to have to pay insurance every month. You're going to have to pay utilities every single month, and the water and the sewer, and you're going to have to plow the snow and cut the grass, and you're going to have to do all that stuff because you own the house for as long as you are renovating it.
Wait a minute, they don't show that stuff on the TV.
Yeah. And then when you get to the end, you have to make sure that after you go through the drudgery of all the contractors and all the mistakes and not showing up and, extended term of, oh, I can't do it today. It snowed. That's what I'm getting right now. There's no snow on the driveway, but a contractor 2 days in a row said, well, it snowed. I can't work today. So my van doesn't drive good on these roads, right? So after you deal with the extension of the contractor's bullcrap and all of that stuff and dealing with extras and, oh yeah, we tore open the wall and there's a spaceship inside we got to remove or something like that. Once you get through all of that, you have to get it cleaned and pretty and a lot of times stage it or make sure it's at least presentable. And then you got to sell it. And then once you get into the sales process, you have that whole episode 2 where you have to deal with your buyer and you have to deal with the inspection the buyer gives you. Even though you renovated the house, you're still going to have inspection issues because the inspector's got to justify his $500 or $600 fee or $400 or $500 fee. Once you get past all that, you then have to get through the bank and make sure that the buyer's qualified. Lot of obstacles. Mm-hmm. Basically, in my world or Bill's planet, it goes just like this. The guy that holds the gold makes all the rules. Mm. And you are not holding the gold in this scenario. So you have to play by everybody else's rules. You got to play by the hard money lender's rules. You have to play by the contractor rules. You have to play by the city ordinance rules, to get all your inspections. You have to play by the buyer's rules, the banker's rules. It's like you're the effect of all these people and you really don't have any say. And if you're clever and you're resilient and you're lucky, you can make money with these deals. That's the TV show. Number 2, which they don't talk, is pretty houses. It's where you use creative financing with multiple profits. Now, the difference between an ugly house and a pretty house when we're talking about creative real estate deals and flipping is all about the money and the house. So people are buying the house. They pick on the house. They want little things done, especially nowadays. If you're selling FHA and you're selling to millennials, they don't know how to fix things. They're using all their money to close. So God forbid something happen in the next 6 months, they're bankrupt. They can't pay their mortgage. So they want you to make sure every little thing is done so they can get through 6 months or 6 years, depending on the millennial, how scared they are, right? With a pretty house, we're not buying and selling the houses. We're buying and selling the paper that's attached to the houses that either own the houses or control the houses. So with creative real estate, we're actually working with the paperwork more or less. So that's all your lease options to purchase. Those are your options. Those are your owner finance deals or seller finance deals. Those are your subject to deals, right? It's all those deals are you're buying the transaction and selling the transaction. You're not buying and selling the house. The house is a byproduct.
Mm.
An example of that is we sell a lot of our houses on handyman specials. Why is that? Because a handyman special can be somebody that can't qualify for a bank mortgage, which is north of 80% these days, bank loans. If they can't qualify for a bank loan, then what's going to happen is you are kind of stuck. Can't get a house unless you find somebody like us and we come along and say, well, if you got some money down and we'll help you fix your credit, we'll give you a lease for 2 years while we fix your credit and help you get qualified for a bank loan. All of a sudden, they're more interested in the financial part or the rent to own aspect than they are the house. So they tend to turn their cheek if something's not exactly perfect in the house. If the kitchen's dated, it's okay as long as it's functional.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I also think of it as just in general as they're buying the opportunity. I mean, the paperwork is how it all happens, but to them, honey, we have an opportunity to buy a house that we can't otherwise. So right. I think of it that way because they really like when they have the chance to do it, especially when they didn't think they could.
Right. So the problem that we have in creative real estate is we have more buyers than sellers. Buyers are really easy to find. I mean, all you need to do is post an ad on Zillow rental section, not for sale with Zillow, rental, and compete with the realtors. So you want to post an ad in Zillow rental section or on Facebook Marketplace. And basically your ad should say this from a lot of experience, because I've had my Facebook account shut down several times. It says house for sale, no bank qualifying. Okay. If you run that ad wherever you can run an ad, you will attract all kinds of species in the human race. You will not have to worry about how to find buyers. I guarantee you, if you do it the way we do it, you'll end up with north of 100 buyers on every house. We end up with 200 or 300. Now, here's the trick: is if you have good software, you actually save those buyers. We call them, very important list? People, VIP list.
Oh, VIP?
Yeah, we call that the
VIP
list.
Buyers list.
Yeah. So what happens is when you buy your next house, you can send a communication, usually an email, to those people and say, hey, I have another house. So you do that while you're closing on the other house, while you're closing on the house and while you're preparing the house and getting a lockbox on and getting everything ready to sell the house, which is usually a week or two, you start emailing your email list, and you may not even have to bring it to the market because you'll find somebody on your buyer's list. Okay. So it's pretty interesting to do, right? Now, creative real estate or creative financing real estate simply works better than any other strategy because it gives you the most freedom and flexibility with both you, money, and time. Right? With renovations, or with a hard lender, you need to supply the cash, which we talked about. When you buy and hold, you don't need to do that. A lot of times you can buy these properties without all of that stuff. Now, like I said, it's harder to find the sellers than the buyers. So finding the sellers is the trick, because 97% of the people that are selling a house want all their cash. What those 97% of people don't know is how much it's costing them to get cash now.
Mm.
Right? So
Yeah.
I won't do it today because I don't have time, but it's a formula called time versus money value. Time versus money value, right? And basically, like I always say, if I sold you my computer today for $1,000 and you gave me $1,000 in cash, how much you pay for my computer? Not a trick question. You paid $1,000. But if you bought my computer today and paid $1,000 and swiped a credit card and paid for it over 24 months, how much did you pay then? I mean, we used to do this. You and I, Peter, used to do this in our live seminars, right? What we would do is we would tell people, ask someone in the audience, like, would you mind talking about your house? How much did you pay for your house? Oh, I paid $100,000 for your house. Oh, did you pay for it cash? And they're like, no, I have a mortgage. Oh, how long is your mortgage? Oh, it's 30 years. How much is your mortgage payment? And then we would multiply the mortgage payment, the principal and interest, times 360 payments, and it would come out to be like $250,000.
That's right.
Be 2.5 times, sometimes 3 times what they paid for the house. And I would say to them, that's how much you paid for your house. You didn't pay $100,000. You paid $200,000 with all the interest and the payments. And I'm being polite because we're not talking about all the maintenance and all the repairs and all the things you did in that 30 years, right? So that's how much you pay for your house, and it's a big confusion, right? Okay, so I completely did that. I have 3 or 4 pages of notes here, and I completely did all of that without one single note in front of me. So now I'm going to take a look at my notes and see what I've already covered. Okay, so what you need to do in creative real estate, which is much different than buying ugly houses, is you need to find a motivated seller, likely they will throw the keys at you. So I do this in my coaching groups, and I coach for someone else too. So I have 2 coaching groups, and then I have Creative REI Reply that has a coaching aspect to it. On Thursday night, we have a support call for an hour that always ends up going an hour and 15, hour and a half, right? And so I get a lot of feedback from students from 3 different places. My own coaching group, right? Creative REI Reply, which is a software we use to find our deals, and this other guy's coaching group, right? There is no trick here. I can't emphasize this enough. There is no trick to do creative real estate deals. What you need to do is you need to have sustainability. You need to get on the phones and you need to call sellers. I don't care if you should start off with FSBOs or expired listings first, right? And when you start calling those people, you're going to learn about your seller and what to say. Now, obviously, we have scripts. I think the latest, I think I've written my last script for a while, right, Peter?
It's hanging in there. I know we're on good ground when 2 months later, a new one doesn't show up that I'm playing catch up with. Now, this one's been sitting there being used, and I think it's just so basic. Once you find what do you need to know, really, you know what to ask, and you got it. So we're okay.
Yeah, the trick is that I wrote the script to find suspects. So a suspect is somebody that says no more than they say yes. A prospect is someone that says yes more than they say no to your ideas. Right? So your ideas, they're all motivated. Every seller is motivated. They all want to sell a house. So they're all motivated. So when we say prospect and suspect, we're talking about, are they motivated for your ideas and our strategies?
Right. For what we're looking for.
Right. Which is either one of 2 things, which I've simplified this. It's either they're willing to take monthly payments until we can pay them off. Sometimes it's 2 years, sometimes it's 30 years. Right. Or if they're not willing to do that, are they willing to take a discount?
Mm-hmm.
It's one or the other. And if they're willing to take a discount, and this is the biggest confusion out of creative real estate, is if they're willing to take a discount, as long as it's more than 10 or 15%, which is common because it costs to sell a property, if you're not doing creative real estate, 12 to 15%.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't know 12 to 15% of their profits are going to pay closing costs, which are all the professional fees, the realtors and the attorneys and the tax money that's going back and forth, negotiation, all that kind of stuff. We have it all broken down. Is going to take 12 or 15% of their profits first before they get any money.
Yeah.
So the first thing that's going to happen is when they sell their house, they're going to pay off any liens, or mortgages that they have. And the second thing that's going to happen is all the professionals are going to get all their fees, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to cost them 12 to 15%, unless they're really savvy, which I feel like I am, and I still have trouble getting it down to 10%, right? Because it just costs that way, right? So getting a 10% or 15% discount is not impossible, right? So if you could do that, then you just sign an option agreement with them and you go sell the property. So if you got a $200,000 piece of property and you get a 10% discount, that means you're signing up for $180,000.
That's right.
So if you were to take that $180,000 and put it on the market for $185,000 and make yourself a $5,000 profit, you'd be $15,000 below everybody else on the market. And you'd be able to bring them all cash. So when we say, can we make you monthly payments until we can get you paid off? In this particular case, they don't want payments, but they want to get paid off. That's the way you could do it. Right? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Did I go too fast?
No, well, it's the old simple thing. Like if the cost of something is X and I give you cash right now, would you take a little less than X? Or right. If I have to make payments, if you wait, I'll give you more than X if you wait a little bit. So right. It's all it is. If you wait, you expect more money for the opportunity of letting somebody wait. And if you want all your money now, you get a little off the top, I pay cash right now, hey, Luigi, cash now. It's nothing new.
Yeah. So if
applying it to a house.
If you guys want to know how to do this, there's I have my flagship course is how to buy a house without a loan or buy real estate without a loan. Mm-hmm. If you just go to flippinghouses4rookies.com and go to courses, it's right there on the top. It's not much money. It's a few $100s. And I have monthly payments if you want them. You could go there and it gives you all the details, all the scripts, all the paperwork, everything you need there if you wanted to. Okay. But that's not why we're here. So let's go over my list of 15 reasons. Right. Let me see here. 15 common and logical reasons creative real estate rookies fail miserably.
Okay.
This is what.
So this is what not to do.
This is why people fail.
Yeah. This is what not to do, folks.
Number one, they don't use simple techniques to find enough people who want to sell the way an investor should buy. Number one, they don't use simple techniques to find enough people who want to buy the way the investor wants to sell. I'm sorry, we'll want to sell the way the investor wants to buy. Mm-hmm. So it's deal hunting, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why you are not doing deals is because you don't have enough outflow. Or your outflow is really good, and then it goes really bad. Then it goes really good, and it goes really bad, which is how your income will be. I can promise you that your income is directly related to the amount of outflow that you do. Right? Because the amount of outflow that you do will determine how many offers you will make. Now, here's the magical, revealed, obvious secret in creative real estate. You do not need to know a lot about creative real estate in the beginning. Here's the reason why. If you make enough phone calls, you will find a motivated seller. A motivated seller says yes more than they say no. That motivated seller will allow you to make mistakes. That motivated seller will teach you how to do a transaction because they'll be very flexible about what you're doing. They're so motivated that you're the only hope they have, and they're going to keep going until it's done.
Yeah,
Right?
that's the key right there.
Right.
It's not, you don't have to convince them because they think you're the only chance they have to get rid of this damn house.
Right.
It's not like or who. Like, honey, we got some schmuck here that'll take the house off our hands because they can't sell it. For some reason, they can't sell it. The realtors don't want it. It's not. Exactly. It's not that kind of a deal. So
exactly. So
you
number
don't have
two,
to be that smart.
Number two. So basically, going back to number one. So basically, what happens is you're trying to learn everything to convert sellers because you feel like you need to convert sellers. You need to, like Peter just said, you need to convince the seller this is for them. And the way to learn how to do that, which by the way, my motto is real estate is not made to learn, it's made to do. Right? You don't learn real estate, you do it. Right? So what that means is you just keep dialing for dollars. I mean, I was on a coaching call yesterday, and a guy went on Craigslist and was just calling leads. Now, here's an amazing tip that we used to do, or I have done, and I've not talked about it, and he brought it up yesterday because we've coached him. Okay. When you're talking to somebody and they say no, 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 before you hang up, which I should put in my script, by the way, before you hang up, you should ask, do you know anyone that might be interested in doing, selling their house this way? And this guy said, I wouldn't, but I know someone that would, and he is now buying a $450,000 or $480,000 house for $350,000 on terms because they're getting a divorce and the guy's motivated. He's living in his camper because he can't afford to pay for the house.
Oh boy,
$1,800 a month. Okay,
yeah.
So the trick is that in the beginning you just dial enough times and find somebody to say yes. But by dialing so many times, you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to handle all your objections and all your resistance, and you will have hands-on because it costs you your time to dial. Right? That's how you're going to learn. You just need to put your time in. Right? Yep. So number two.
That's right.
So number one is they don't use simple techniques to find enough people who want to sell the way the investor should buy. Number two, don't have a marketing machine that talks to people who are selling houses in enough volume. So one thing that we talk about, in fact, we're going through it personally, is we don't have enough marketing campaigns that are feeding us leads, right? So if you only have one campaign, if you think you're going to text 20 people a day and you're going to quit your job, think again. You're going to quit real estate because it's not going to provide you with what you want. You need to have a marketing machine so you have multiple arms reaching out into the community. Right? Yep. So think of it this way. You are completely non-existent in your seller's mind. They have no idea who you are. They have no idea how to find you. And my example of that is walk out your front door, take a left, take a right, walk until you hit somebody. I mean, walk until you find somebody. That's more like it. Until you run into somebody is what I was going to say. But until you find somebody and say, hey, I'm looking to sell my house. Do you know somebody around here that could buy it? First thing they're going to do is give you a realtor's name. And I'm like, no, I'm looking for an investor. Oh, I have no idea. And if you could do that, including myself, because I mean, my neighbors know what I do because I've told them. But the point is, if they don't know, then how the hell, if your neighbor doesn't know it, then how the hell is the guy across town going to know that you buy houses?
That's right.
So you need a marketing machine to let enough people know, let the right people know that you buy houses. Because our formula is, number one, find a motivated seller and communicate with them. The formula is, number two, tell them what you do. I buy houses with payments or on a discount. Number three, ask them what's needed and wanted. So you just ask one question. What would have to happen for me to buy your house today? And then step number four is just give it to them. Use one of my 7 strategies and structure a deal. That's why the 7 strategies are there, because of this formula. Right? I mean, that's how it works. Okay. Number 3. How am I doing so far?
Well, I'm following.
Okay.
It makes sense.
Number
Yeah, we're good.
Number 3, in most cases, the investor has not taken the time to really understand how to pre-screen callers to see if they should spend time with that seller, and often waste a lot of time with suspects and no results. So that's what I was saying earlier with this new script that we have, which maybe I'll put it in the chat, in the link. We'll see what happens. This new script I'm talking about, the reason why it's working so well is because you called it. You put the stake in the dirt and said, Bill, I've done this script a lot. It takes me 4 minutes, 51 seconds average. Right? And when you say that, what does that mean? Why does it only take you 4 minutes, 51 seconds?
Well, we've had a lot of scripts in the past, and sometimes you get on the phone. How many square feet is the house? How many bedrooms does it have? When was it built? And in fact, none of that matters at all if he won't give you payments or a discount. So why bother? Just ask the questions. And when you start making some progress, then you can get all that information later. So the script just goes to the point of what you need to know to see if they're motivated either way, period. So in 4 or 5 minutes, I'm done. It's yes or no. And if it's yes, then you keep going. It's of course, but you don't spend a half an hour to get a no and a no and a no and a no and waste your time. It's discouraging. Why waste it?
Yeah. And the thing that I like that you said to me when you told this to me originally was, in the 5 minutes, I know enough about the deal and the seller to make a decision on whether I want to whack them or keep them. Because in that 5 minutes, you know enough. And that was important feedback for me, because it's like the script hits all the salient points, the points that you have to know to make a deal, right?
Yeah.
Good. Number 4. The investor never picks up the phone and dials it. He spends or she spends too much time doing research and not doing what they need to do to really and actually pull off a deal. Like, they'll do research on the house, they'll go on PropStream, they'll go here, they'll go there, they'll do this, they'll do that, they'll fumble around, and then they'll text them. That's the most common mistake, which I stopped, I don't know, maybe a month ago. I was harsh with you with it, and I'm harsh with my coaching clients. Texting is not a tool to negotiate with. Texting is a non-confront for you and the seller. It's non-confront. You're not confronting the person. And you can't do that in real estate. You need to confront people, and you need to have a conversation with them. And I'm going to tell you right now, a core reason, I've never said this out loud, but here is a core reason why someone doesn't get deals and why they have complexity. It's lack of confront. Because what lack of confront does is it causes transgressions. And once you have a transgression, you withhold your communication because you're afraid you're going to get caught. And it gives you more lack of confront. And when you have lack of confront, you have complexities. You add all these things in because it's just you in your own head.
Yeah.
It's like playing baseball on both sides of the team. It's like there is no game. You think there is because you're playing for the Yankees in Boston, right? On both sides, right? It's like playing a football game and playing offense and defense together. You're on both sides.
Chess. Try to play chess with yourself and see who wins. Doesn't work well.
So what happens is because of lack of confront, you end up with complexities, and the complexities cause you to do something wrong. Either it's either a transgression of omission or commission, right? You're either not doing something or you're doing something wrong. And when you start doing it wrong, you start to pull back and say, oh.
And you're not saying we're doing it on purpose either.
No.
It can be by accident. You screw up. You make a mistake. You miss something. You forget. I didn't do that. I should have asked them. And all kinds of, it's funny, if I can interject. Once upon a time, if you want to talk to somebody, you went and talked to them face to face, right?
Right.
That's direct. And then we got phones. So a phone is a via because you're going via the phone. It's got a little step in between.
Yeah,
and then
via,
we went to
via is an alternate route, right? It's like an extra. Yeah. It's an extra way to get there.
You say, let's go this way to get to that way. You're bouncing it off the wall. And then we went to texting to talk to somebody. So you don't even see them. You don't even hear their voice anymore. First, you didn't see them. Then you don't hear them. And you're just hoping to understand the feeling of it just from words. And then, I don't know, you were just doing less and less and then just hanging signs up, hoping somebody, and it gets more and more disconnected.
Right. So here's the rule that I kind of slammed down with a big sledgehammer about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago at this point. Here is the extent of your texting. And if you're doing more than this during your texting, then you're doing it wrong. 1, do you have a house for sale? 2, can we talk about it? No matter what the answer is, you always respond with, I have your offer ready. Let me know when you want to talk about it. I have your offer ready. Let me know when you want to talk about it. Oh, by the way, when you're ready, I have your offer here so we can talk about it. And you just constantly repeat. Now, you may have to do this 5 or 6 times. You just keep repeating, I have your offer ready. Let me know when you want to talk about it. Until either they go away, tell you to go F off, which they do, or they want to talk to you. So anything less than them wanting to talk to you, you put them on your do not call list or do not disturb list. You whack them. Because if a person's selling a house and they don't want to hear an offer, they're not serious enough to sell their house and you shouldn't be talking to them.
Yeah, we haven't even said we want to do payments or a discount. We just said we want to talk about buying your house, right?
We have an offer.
And the text. Yeah, we haven't said anything like to buy it less or to buy it any special way. We just want to buy it. If they don't answer that, like, they're not even serious about selling it. That's just doesn't even make sense.
So number 5, the investor shoots from the lip, LIP, from the lip, instead of being scripted and actually saying the right things to move the seller toward closing with you and your ideas. So instead of, it's a play on the word, shooting from the hip. This is shooting from the lip.
Yeah.
I got to tell you right now, not my favorite actor, as you know, but Tom Cruise, Clint Eastwood. I don't know. Give me a woman's name, a woman's actor.
Street. Street.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the one that Henry Fonda. Any major actor you know.
Yeah.
Would you pay nowadays $12 or $15 to go to the movies to watch them on the big screen if they shot from the lip, if they didn't have a scripted line? Okay, so listen to me. This is very profound. I'm not going to spend, I could spend an entire podcast just on this. Okay. Since the age of man, the day one of mankind, until the last 50 years, maybe the last 100 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's more than that, but mankind always propelled their future with stories. So a father teaches his son to hunt with a story. A mother teaches a woman to have a baby with a story. So stories are ingrained. We think with mental image pictures. We see pictures. Words and syllables and everything around us is recorded as a picture. We think in pictures. right? This is the reason why we're fascinated by TV, because it's pictures. That's how our minds think. That's why it's so contagious, is because it's pictures.
But it's easy pictures. You don't have to think them up yourself. They shove them at you.
Well, it's called motion pictures because they're moving.
Moving
Right?
pictures. Yeah. My grandmother, you got to go see a moving picture? Yeah, they're going to move, Grandma.
Right. So
Moving.
think of it this way. When you're writing a story, you have a start, like it starts off with this travail, like, oh my gosh, my father died. And because of that, I made a decision. And the decision is to go to California and live with my sister. So that starts the story off. Like that's what I want the story to do.
Yeah.
And then going from where I am to California has a bunch of barriers. I ran out of gas, somebody stole my money, I checked into a hotel, the hotel burned down, right? That's what you call the plot. That's the plot. That's you going through the story. Okay, so here's my point in saying this, is that when you're talking to a seller, you have a plot. You need to have a plot. You need to go from the beginning to the end, right? What was, we used an example in a few podcasts ago. The farmer plants, cultivates, and harvests.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be able to have that in mind. If you don't, you're going to be random, you're going to shoot from the lip, and you're going to say the wrong things. Okay? You need to know what that process is, which is why we sold on Flipping Houses for Rookies for a very long time. It was called the Creative Real Estate Blueprint, because people would understand the steps that you would go through with the progress of the deal, and you would know what to do. At least you would have the process in your mind, right? Number 6, get stuck on how to do paperwork in their head, worry too much what the repercussions are if they do it wrong, and never really get started or talk themselves out of a deal. Okay. It's not the right thing to do, but I'm going to tell you right now, you can go to legalshield.com or what is the other one? I think it's LegalZoom. I forgot what the other one is, but Legal Shield is who we use. I have a $99 a month subscription with them, even though I have a regular attorney, which is stupid on my part, but here's the reason why I keep them. For $25 a month, you can hire an attorney on retainer. All you need to do is go into Google and type in lease with an option of purchase and the name of your state. You can download those documents for $25. Go to LegalZoom and have your LegalZoom representative, who's an attorney in your state or in your backyard, look at the documents to make sure they're okay. Now, they aren't going to be like my documents, because my documents make you money, but these are going to be enough to make you a deal or two so you get started. So if you're worried about paperwork, you just don't know about outsourcing and getting somebody that professionally does that to do that for you as part of the deal transaction. Okay, that's all that is. Number 7, worry way too much they don't have the funds or capital to actually buy the house, so they can do what many others talk about doing and convince themselves this isn't for them. Like they were born on the wrong side of the tracks and they're poor. Right? So Nelson Rockefeller said many years ago, the way you build or keep wealth is to own nothing and control everything. That saying is the epitome of creative real estate. I mean, think about it. We do lease options. We could do a lease option with someone. We can actually rent from someone. Now, if you rented a house in the past from somebody else, right, and lived there or rented for somebody else, you're 90% of the way there. You know what to do. All you need to do now is learn the 10% that's going to make you money. So you rent with with an option to buy from a seller who's willing to do that because they've been renting and they kind of don't want to be a landlord. So if you say to them, I'll rent for 2 years, no landlording obligations to you. And at the end of 2 years or within the 2 years, I'll buy it from you. Why wouldn't they want to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what happens is you find that person, you rent with an option to purchase. All the promises that you make the seller are going to be fulfilled by your buyer. Nowadays, what we do is if you're really worried about a deal, just sign a 30-day option agreement with the seller and go find your buyer. What you're really worried about is, can I find a buyer? Am I going to get stuck with this? So go find your buyer first, then do the paperwork with the seller. Right? And that's the trick these days. So if you want to get rid of fear, if you're a fearmonger and you're afraid of every little thing, you're afraid of breathing air, right? Which some people are like that. And I'm not making fun of them, but some people are like, my daughter's like that, right? Then go sign an option agreement with someone and tell them you're going to go find them a buyer. Hey, that's what a realtor does, right, Pete? I mean, what does a realtor do?
Yeah, they have a contract. I'll find a buyer. Then, within a few weeks or months, they find a buyer, or they don't. They say, sorry, no buyer, goodbye.
Right.
And that's just normal business. There's no commitment. They're not even controlling the property. They just have the contract as the agreement because they have the realtor's license. We don't need.
By the way,
when the option gives that right.
Yes, so the option gives us a very, very minute equity share, not a controllable equity share, very minute, like like if it was $1, this would be 1 penny.
Yeah, I call it
doesn't
a brick.
mean anything. A
We
brick,
call it
okay.
a brick.
Yeah.
I own that brick in the corner there. You need that
exactly.
brick. You need me.
So the point is that you have a very small percentage of equity share. Because of that, you're considered an owner in the property and you don't need a license. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, strive to find time to actually do it. When time is there, they just mismanage it and don't know it, or do time inventory to see where it is and how to better utilize it. So what I'm saying is that an average person doesn't even do a time inventory. Like, how do you spend your time? Like, I mean, it's very easy to do. All you need to do is on your phone or wherever you want to keep track, right? So you introduced me to something a very long time ago that somebody should make this app. I'm giving somebody an idea to make an app.
Oh.
You introduced me to Mileage IQ.
Oh,
an app.
Yeah.
So it's on my phone. I don't do anything. And when I drive, this thing keeps track of my locations. And then I go in there at the end of the day and I say, was that business or was that personal? And you swipe it. And all that does is keep track of your mileage for your tax accountant. So at the end of the year or the end of the month, it gives you a report of how many miles you traveled for business.
Yep.
We should do this for time.
Yeah, I suppose.
Right? I don't know how somebody would do it, but we should do this for time. So all you need to do for a week or two is just keep a log or a diary of everything you did throughout the day. And then just take, that's inventory, like taking a time inventory. That's inventory of your time. Where do you spend your time? And you're going to find there's time vampires in there. There are things that you're doing that either somebody else is controlling your life for you. You know, like people think it's their job. Well, your job, what do you got? 168 hours a week. Everybody has 168 hours a week. A job is 40. So what are you doing with the other 28 hours? The other 128 hours.
120. Yeah, that's right. 128. Yep.
What are you doing with those? Right? So most people don't take time inventory and they have bad time management skills.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything in your list about like a space to work at?
I don't know.
I have a reason to ask. Because the reason I'm saying is this is a part-time job. So if you had a part-time job, you would have a place to go. You'd have stuff to do. Like you would have a desk. You'd have paper. You'd have a phone. You'd have forms. And you'd have a schedule. So that's what basically we should have for this. Like at this time, I'll sit at that desk with those papers and the computer, and I'll do such and such for an hour or two. It's like having a part-time job. It doesn't happen by itself. Problem is you don't have a boss, or the worst, you're your own boss. If you're not being self-employed, you got to figure out how to do that because no one's going to stare at you and force you to be there. You got to just sit down and do it. You're the boss.
Well,
Be
to
the
your
boss.
point, which is a whole nother podcast, but people get jammed up with things they don't know that are jamming them up,
Mhm.
and they don't know how to unjam themselves.
Mm.
They don't have an unjamming device, or they don't have a
Mm-hmm.
radar detector to tell them, "Hey, I'm jammed."
Yeah.
And the way you know you're jammed is that if you've been doing real estate for more than a month, or a year, or
Mhm.
decades, and you haven't bought a house, you're jammed up.
Yeah.
There's some points that are out. You're doing something wrong. You need somebody to help you, because otherwise you'd be buying a house.
Yep.
Now, 10 years ago, I would say, okay, it would be a different story. But nowadays, it's too mainstream. Creative real estate and what we're doing is too mainstream. Number 9, the investor expects 2 to 3 prospects to replace their already proven income that takes most a minimum of 2,000 hours to make. So you have a job at 40 hours a week and you're making, we'll say, 60 grand a year. It takes you 2,000 hours a year to make that 60
Yep.
grand. So you think because you called 2 or 3 prospects, you called 2 or 3 people, you're going to replace your income?
Mhm.
It doesn't work. Which goes back to number 1 and 2. You have to outflow, you have to talk to people, and you have to have a marketing machine. Right? So if you can only confront speaking to 1 or 2 people a week, how long do you think it's going to take you to actually buy a house? A year? 2 years? 3 years? 5 years? I mean, just go on the premise that you should really talk to 100 people before you even get going. Right? And you talk to 2 people a week, that would take a year just to get through those 100 people.
That's right.
Right? So,
Well, your percentages, the percentage we use is 97% of people we talk to want cash. So it's 3% that would be interested in a terms deal or get the decent enough discount. So do that math. That's 3 people in 1 year if you talk to 2 people a week.
Yep.
And it's not
Number
3
10.
sales, it's 3 people to talk to.
Yeah, 3 prospects. They
Yeah,
might
not
be
3
interested.
sales.
And then
Yeah,
you want
so
to know
maybe
why you
one
went
works.
2 years. Why you went 2 years doing a deal? Why it took you 2 years to make a deal?
Mm-hmm.
Number 10, and this should really be number 1, but I had to get up to this point as a gradient scale. This is the number 1 reason why every single real estate investor fails, including me or you. It is the only reason why. Everything else is sugar-coated around this. You don't make offers. Or make very little offers. Or not enough offers. And you expect to close anyone they talk to because they're shooting from the lip. Remember, they expect them to close. They don't have a plan. They're not doing it. It's not organized. Now, I'm not going to get into this, but in past podcasts, we talk about having an unbalanced offer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason. So one thing is to make offers, and the second thing, if you're not getting offers accepted, it's unbalanced, which means either the seller's asking too much money and you can't do the deal, you're too low on your offer and the seller can't do the deal,
Mm-hmm.
or you're not making enough offers. Those are the only 3 reasons why you're not doing deals, right? And of course, during COVID and 21 and 22, the problem was most sellers wanted too much money and we were having trouble making deals. So all that means is when that's happening is you need higher volume. So if you need to talk to 100 people, now you need to talk to 300 people, right? When it goes the other way around, seller's market, buyer's market, you change how many people you talk to. You still do deals. Number 11. The investor feels there are closely guarded secrets, but like folks like you and I, who've done hundreds of properties and are not getting the info without paying the big bucks or privy to those secrets. There's nothing else to say. The most obvious secret is talk to sellers, study your sellers, right? It's like you want to go for a job interview. The smart guy would study the company first. So when they go in for the job interview, they know what they're applying for. Like, auto mechanics. They're going to study the shop. They're going to know what kind of shop it is. They're going to know what kind of equipment they have. They're going to want to know, how many cars a day they have, what kind, like you have an auto mechanic that's a general auto mechanic. There's no sense in him applying to a transmission repair shop because he doesn't rebuild transmissions.
Yeah.
Right? Or you can have an auto mechanic that is tired of doing just brakes and mufflers. Why would he go to Midas? You know what I mean? So these guys, so it's the same with you. If you want to study creative real estate, you need to study who's paying you and the seller's paying you. They're giving you equity and allowing you to make payments. They're paying you with their deal. Your buyer is going to give you the cash, but you need to negotiate with your seller. So what you need to do is study your seller. And the best way to do that is get on the phone with them and just talk to them.
Yep.
Right? Number 12, the investor's skeptical of what others are telling them when looking to learn the ins and outs of the process that works. So I'm going to tell you this. This is a hard, steadfast statement from Bill Hawthorne because I lived my entire life this way. And if you are going to write anything down of this whole podcast, this is what you should write down. People accuse those of what they themselves are doing. So if my sister's critical of me spending too much money, that means she's spending too much money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If somebody's critical of you, it's because that's what they themselves are doing. When you switch that in your head, you'll notice their life will change. When somebody's critical of you, they themselves are doing that thing.
Yeah.
Right? When I hear President Biden get up and talk about President Trump, that means all the things he's saying about President Trump, he himself is doing.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear President Trump talk about, somebody else, like somebody in Congress, I know that President Trump is doing that if he's being critical. Right? And by the way, there's a difference between facts and critical, right? Mm-hmm. Critical means that you're communicating in a way that you don't agree with what happened. You're not in agreement with. So if I said
it's more like insulting, it's just insults and throwing things, complain. It's not constructive at all. It's just trying to shoot the other person down. And like there's no justification. You look at that doesn't even make sense. It's not true.
It's illogical.
Yeah. It's unfair. It's just rude nastiness.
Right.
It isn't factual. So
there you go. So if you're skeptical of people, then you ought to take a look at your own transgressions and what you're doing wrong to those people that you're being skeptical of. Mm-hmm. 13, make excuses like I don't have money or time to actually invest in themselves so they get outside of their world that isn't producing what they want and learn other ways. So I'm going to tell you because we need to go here pretty soon. I'm going to tell you without a long conversation. Again, this is a whole other podcast. We've actually done a few of these. I don't remember the numbers of them, but this comes down to habits and time. So I talked about time earlier, where you can do inventory of your time. But what you need to do after that is when you start looking at your life through a calendar and think of time blocking as pieces of a puzzle, and you plug them into your days and your weeks and your months. Right? Which means when you're doing time blocking, you're doing everything. You're keeping track of, and this is the harshest one, like when you have sex or when you eat or when you take a shower or when you take a crap or when you read a book or when you just don't do anything. You go to the gym, you go to the grocery store, you do your laundry. All these things that you don't think of, these are all your habits. You don't see them because they're your habits. Okay, so your habits are like a blind spot, like a horse and a racehorse has their blinders on. They just see forward. Those those blinders are your habits. You can't see because they have you focused in the wrong direction. Number 14, believe when they try a proven system and it doesn't work, that the person supplying the process was wrong and the dilettante or amateur is right. When they never even looked at, maybe they misunderstood the materials and couldn't do it, and don't even know it is so. Don't even know it, so they think that the trainer sold them a bad bill of goods, and then move on to another training program.
I see that as an educator. Bill's not just saying that, folks. I teach a lot of different subjects. I'm still currently teaching music, and you'll have a piece of information. The student goes, "That isn't right." Okay, so you're smarter than the book already, huh? It's not. You're not just a real estate thing or just a creative. This is just people do that when they don't understand. They don't try it. They don't use it. It's easier to blame the book than maybe they could be wrong.
That goes back to confront. We were talking about that earlier, but the point is, without elaborating on it too much, is that there is a lot of bad information out there. There are a lot of people that are scams. I understand that, but I mean, when you have somebody like us that has 346 one-hour podcasts, I think we've proven that we must know something. We have probably 400 hours or more of free training just in our podcast. 400 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So we must know something.
Yeah, these are real life examples. We don't make this up. We do this. So
right.
Bill does more than me, but I see what he does, and he sees all the things we do together and what other students do and people we help. We see what's happening. So it's based on what's actually happening, not something in a book. This is real.
Right.
And people are making money, and some people aren't.
Yep.
So we're going to listen to.
Number 15. And the last but not least, and the best of the numbers. Neglect to use the 80-20 rule. 20% of your activity gets you 80% of what you really want or need. I didn't make this up. Mm-hmm. I think I want to say Pavlov, but that was the dog.
No, it was some Italian guy. I don't know his name, but I think the story you told, some guy did the research and found out this was the case, and it's been proven out numbers of time by the people just observing.
20% of your activity gets you 80% of what you really want or need. Instead, most do the 80% stuff and then complain about how shitty their life is and contaminated by the environment they are in, so others can't do it too. So, again, this is a whole podcast. I'm not going to get into it. We keep talking about it. I keep alluding to it. The thing to understand is you can architect your environment. You can design your own environment. And if you use the 80-20 rule, you can do it in such a way that 20% of your time will get you 80% of your income. I have not had a job for 40 years except one. I work for a consulting company because I own a gas station, auto repair shop, and a used car lot for 25 years. And the used car lot I only owned because I fell into it by accident. I didn't know how to sell cars. I was not taught how to be a used car salesman. I was just selling honestly. And I sold myself 30, 35 cars a month, which is unheard of in that business. Right? The point that I'm trying to make here is that I lost my train of thought.
See, where were
that's
you
pretty
headed?
Stupid. That's pretty stupid. 80-20. Oh, so I left. So I consulted automotive repair shops all over the country. I would sit with 15 shop owners, and I was a diagnostician. I would take their profit and loss statement. I would read it, and I could tell them exactly where their problem was in their shop. And I would meet with them for 90 minutes, and I would consult them. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I finally had the conversation with the guy that owned the company, who tried to get me to be partners with him in another company before I left. But my conversation was, dear boss, I have a problem. We talked about this in the last podcast. I have a problem. What's your problem? Well, see, the funny thing is that I spend about 80% of my time here to make about 20% of my income. Yet in real estate, I do about 20% of time, and it makes me about 80% of my income. So basically, what's happening is this job is in my way because I spent 80% of my time to make 20% of my income, and I was making a good income, but I was part-time. My daughter Jessie was living with me at the time because she was in college, was running my business, writing checks, and I was spending about 20% of my time, and I was making almost double of what I was making on my job, part-time.
And you didn't have to fly around the country, live in hotels and motels, eat in restaurants all the time.
40 weeks a year I was gone, and I flew on a Friday, worked Saturday and Sunday, came home on a Monday. So was grueling. All right, cool. So hopefully those helped you. Hopefully you can see some holes in your life and some things to work on. You should probably listen to this podcast again and jot them down. If I was a nice guy, which I'm not today, I would write them down and give them to you, but I'm not going to do that. So make sure before you leave, you subscribe to us. Make sure you like us, especially if you're on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. Make sure you hit the like button. Leave a comment, if you would, in one of those platforms about the podcast that you just listened to. And again, if you want to be part of the podcast, Thursday mornings, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can go to Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter and type in Flipping Houses for Rookies, and you will find us. Okay? Thank you for your time today, and we'll see you at episode number 347. Enjoy your week. Over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.